I would like to hand over to our next speaker, Mr. Milan Thakkar, CEO of Walplast. He has been a turnaround management asset across all organizations that he has worked at. By self-admission, he is a growth addict. He states very clearly that the only reason he would enter a business is to look at exponential growth, something he has driven across brands he is associated with. He holds a management degree from a renowned B School of Panjab, Pune, and engineering degree from Mumbai University. Since joining Walplast, he has given birth to HomeSure, the retail arm of business focusing on beautiful built homes, and Built Wealth, the institutional arm of the business, which focuses on restoration. So he has given a growth of 80% in the last 3 years, taking Walplast to the number 3 player in India in predominantly B2B sector. Very impressive profile, sir. We are looking forward to your session, sir. Over to you.
All right, Ridhima, thank you for your kind words. I just hope everybody at your home, family, and known associates all are okay, all are safe. Difficult times for all of us. We are not beating in a very
Yes,
pleasant.
sir.
Yeah, Mumbai is. I'm sitting in Mumbai, so Mumbai is in a very difficult situation. All my
All
known friends,
around,
associates. Yeah,
all
it's
around India, it's the same.
almost a lockdown.
Yes.
So, hello to all the participants who are a part of this session. I invite you and I wish and pray for your family to be safe. Firstly, yes, Ridhima, thank you so much for your lovely words. Yes, it's been an interesting journey at Walplast, and as you rightly mentioned, we are a small yet very aggressive enterprise trying to compete very giant players in the industry. And that's what has happened. In the last 3 years, we have evolved our own private brands, and we are on track for the quantum leap. Provided we come back to little normalcy, I think that's going to help us to be in sync with our plans.
Yes, hope so that everything gets normal really fast. Like
Yeah.
Israel has come back to normal removing their masks, India also come back to normal remove
Oh
their
God,
masks.
I feel in this room when I'm talking to you without a mask, I feel something is missing. So I think yeah, it's become a very integral part of our
Right,
being, and I think it's important for all of us to keep doing that for a while at least until
right,
things settle down. So I think yeah,
right.
it's still turbulent times. I still get worried about my people on the field every day. I keep checking with them because I have a lot of associates who are risking their lives for ensuring the continuity of the business. And kudos to all the Corona warriors out there of Team Walplast who are so brave and putting on a great show and still looking at continuing the business despite all odds. So that's the endurance, the commitment, the grit at Walplast what we work with. Ridhima.
So, sir, should I give you the sharing rights? Do you have a presentation?
I don't have a presentation. I'm going to, talk a little about what we've been doing in this space.
Mm-hmm.
We are an MSME. We don't talk. We don't have very large consultants to make a presentation for us, and we don't believe in presentations. We are a very on-ground, practical organization where we've kind of built the business ground up in the last decade and a half. So what I'd be probably share is my journey at Walplast and the supply chain arm of how we evolved it, because we have about currently more than 20 units across India which serves our customers. So I think for us it was important to integrate this piece, and here is a time where we are going to digitize. We have started digitization in our own way. However, yes, having said that, the journey is going to be long, but it's for us to start and ensure that we are taking baby steps in the right direction. So we have a few interventions which we have started. So I'd like to keep this interactive with you, if and also open it to the forum after I share a few pieces of what we have done. That's probably the format which I like to go with, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, no problem, sir. Do you want to interact with the participants one on one? Because I
Yes.
can put them all in the speaker list, and then you can people can raise hands or write it in the chat box that they would like to speak, and then we'll unmute them.
Yeah, that'll be fair. That'll be fair. Yeah, that'll be wonderful. Please.
So,
Yeah.
for all the participants, is it okay if I put you in the panelist list, and you'll get an opportunity to speak? So, can you give a thumbs up in the chat box so that I
Can I give
can
it
know?
in the chat box? Okay, so I honestly don't know how to do that, but
So, I mean, I'm asking the participants that if they're okay with this, they can put this in the chat box.
yeah, please. Thank you.
So, Dr. Amanpreet Pathania, Prashant Kohli, they're saying yes. Okay, fine. So, so Dr. Amanpreet Pathania has raised the hand. So, I am putting her on the panelist.
Yes, please.
So, Dr. Amanpreet Pathania, you may speak now if you have a question or you would like to know something.
Maybe Dr. Patania can write the question. I can respond. Is that okay?
Meanwhile, I put Mr. Thakkar.
Yes,
Now
please.
am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon.
Hello, doctor.
I just have a very small question. The role of AI, artificial intelligence, that we are talking about, MNCs is clear I think to me it is clear. But when we are talking about a middle level industries, is there any other source except artificial intelligence to make the logistic more efficient as well? If they are not in that position to have the artificial intelligence, then what would they can replace it with?
Okay, Dr. Patania, I think it's a little far-fetched to talk about AI at this hour. Organizations in our size, which we call ourselves as the MSME, currently are integrating the supply chain in a fashion which is easier and reachable to our customers. So on-time deliveries, including the digitization, we have started an initiative called Supply Chain Control Tower, where we know that the incoming vehicles come on time, are tracked, and go to the customer on stipulated time frames, and the delivery happens on time. We have a real-time system to do that. So artificial intelligence, to my mind, is I think a fad word. Yes, a lot of evolved organizations, who are 100 years plus in the industry, are aiming towards that. But size of organization like ours at this hour for us is to ensure that we have the accurate data internally and externally, and we support our customers with the goods on time, every time. That's the first step of what we are doing as an exercise in the supply chain arm, ma'am. If that helps you, if that answers your question, ma'am.
So the participants want to understand your experience on this, sir, that how you started this and how it became so efficient that it is leading. And
Yeah.
having said that, your journey so far, the challenges that you have faced.
Sure. So I think a very valid question. I think the entire journey of the last 5 years at Walplast has been very interesting. Being in the semi-organized space, I tell you, the sector is transforming to be organized, and our competitors still are 60% in the unorganized space. So the key differentiator here would be areas like supply chain. Today, if I were to talk about supply chain, we've started taking baby steps and integrating our ERP, the front end, the back end, the CRM, and talking about digitization. We put in the supply chain control tower. So these were all baby steps. I mean, this didn't happen overnight. It took us a lot of time and efficiency at our respective plants with respect of the ERP, talking to the CRM, talking to our front end, talking to the vehicle tracking mechanism, talking to the customers, talking to the app of what we have built on the supply chain. So I think a lot of things have come together to life, and it's taken a lot of time for us to get this to action. And yes, the journey has been very, very difficult. We've had a lot of data real-time lapses initially, but we've taken external help, and today we have course corrected. So the customer knows when he is expecting the delivery. He can track our trucks. He can place the order. We know the customer has received the order, because in our business today, our business, let me just give you a little brief of how our business works. We work with very, very large conglomerates who are in the construction space. And in what we supply, there is a lot of manpower on the ground waiting for those goods to come on time. They've already dedicated manpower on the ground to apply the material of what we provide. So we cannot have any lapses in terms of time frames where there is a huge efficiency loss for my customer as well. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to ensure that our delivery mechanism is so efficient that it talks front and back from our manufacturing units to our customer and ensure that the delivery is on time. And that's what we are working towards. Yeah, that's a little snapshot of what we have done in the last 3 years' time. Integrated the technology piece back end at our plants and front end on the customer front, and ensuring that we track the vehicles with our basic technology of vehicle tracking mechanism with the hardware which we've set up in all our partner transporters' vehicles. So that's in a nutshell of what we are trying to achieve here. Vedema, just a little snapshot of what I've given.
So, what I understand that there is a different technology for back end and the front end.
Yes.
And did you build it, or you got it built from outside?
No. So we have an internal plus external team. Like today's scenario, we talk about the hybrid model of work from home and office. It's a hybrid model. We've gotten some partners to help us. We also have a very strong in-house team. So some pieces of the front end we have built. We've taken some help on the back end. So our ERP today talks to the entire piece of the front end. So we've integrated both of this, and we have started getting real-time data. So it is our own effort. Honestly, a lot of effort has been put by us. We've got the right team. We've set up the team ourselves, and we've also taken external help to implement this.
So, is it cost efficient? What is cost efficient? The internal team, external team, totally outsourcing? How do you feel that the company should go about it?
See, I still feel that it depends on the entrepreneur's intervention towards technology and his orientation towards technology. For us, it was a very critical part of the business. So we went into a hybrid model. From a cost perspective, it is going to cost almost the same. There is definitely a cost to build the entire piece and integrate it together. So I think today, if you were to ask me if we were to outsource vis-a-vis build it in-house, there is no proper response to that. It is more a hybrid piece where you want to know how sensitive is your data and how kind of that data can help you and how critical is that data for you. Yeah. So I think it's, for me, the comparison shouldn't be outsourced vis-a-vis in-house. It's more to do with the intervention of what interest the entrepreneur comes with and what background the entrepreneur comes with, and the seriousness towards technology and the time they can afford to build the space. That what will be most important. Yes. Just to answer, it's not an outsourcing versus in-house development model. It's more to do with what are your priorities and how critical this line function is to any organization. Pretty much.
Sorry. I got a call. I'm so sorry I missed that. But so how do you find the missing links? That suppose there are certain faults at times. In ERP, the stock is not managed, perpetual inventory count is not correct, or there is a difference between lag time in the actual geo tracking to the real time transportation. How do you manage all these things? And I am sure these difficulties come to every organization. How do you tackle them?
Yeah, so we had a lot of bugs in the system. We had a lot of lag initially. But today, with the help of the supply chain control tower, is what we have used as an intervention. It is helping us to track. So the lag was there. We had a difficulty where the truck is reached. Vehicle tracking ka downtime aa jata hai. A lot of challenges which happened. Even the ERP, when it talks about the data on the ERP, it's a lot of times which is it talks a little lag in terms of when you get the real-time inventory of what the stock is and what it shows you in the system on your matrices. So I think that's what we have kept bridging all the time. And we get a pop-up, we have built in mechanism where we get a pop-up at the end of the day when we do a detailed business analytics and business reports, we get a pop-up of where the lag is. So in course of time, we've been able to address those lags and key in and bridge in those lags via technology. Ridhima.
So, the tower that you mentioned, I would like to know more about the tower, what it is. I mean, from a tower we understand a big tower,
Yeah,
but
so
in technology ways, what does it mean?
yeah, so this is not a big tower. This is more to do with the tower which receives the signal from my vehicle technology mechanism. It talks to and it helps me to look at the vehicles coming in and vehicles going out, the expected arrival time of every vehicle. It tracks the expected arrival time of the vehicle coming in the my manufacturing unit or expected time or vehicle time to the customer side. It actually tracks the vehicle. It gives me real time data of what is happening in and out. Yeah, and also my inventory. It tracks. It is more to do with a tower which we have created on the technology side, where it talks to my front end and the back end, which I mentioned to you. So this is the tower which we built. It took 3 years time to build this to get a real time data. So this is more of our internal mechanism what we have used and to build efficiencies. Today, a truck of a raw material coming inside our factory is mapped with the time of a customer getting an order. So the reverse logistic mechanism, inward logistic, outward logistics, and we build efficiencies via this tower, which helps us to optimize a lot of cost for our organization. I hope you're trying to get the
Yeah.
context.
In technology basis, so since you must have also taken some softwares or some outsourced few things,
Yeah.
which are the software technologies you feel are good enough? Like a lot of people take SAP, then
Yeah. So there
there
is
are a lot of companies like Loginext was there. So what do you prefer? And for analytics, which software are you using? Have you
so
built your own dashboards?
No, so we built a few things ourselves, but what we use as a basic ERP platform is IDMPeer. IDMPeer is an open source structure which helps us to tweak the changes. It is open source. We were on SAP B1 for a long time, but SAP had a few challenges of we trying to look at our own interventions. So we've used IDMPeer, which is user friendly and open source, which helps us to make the required tweaks in creating a better supply chain for us. So that's the front end which we use as a ERP, and the back end is we use some BI tools which is via IDPR as well. So it's a very critical software for us, which is helping us, and at the same time, it's accommodating the requirement of a medium-sized enterprise. It's not very stringent. At this time, we need to have open source so that there can be some changes which are made, which is built to suit. So this is built as per what our requirements are. And that's where my in-house team comes in, who is connected to the business on the ground. See, your typical softwares which are available in the market, which are not built to suit, they come to you, which is in a particular format. And if we were to even tweak a little, they arm twist you. So we kind of were aware of that. And that's why we migrated from SAP B1 to an IDMPeer, which is helping us to be more efficient and helping us to a lot of tweakings in the way we use our commands.
So, having understood that, so the analytics is also available through the same software.
Yes, it is. It is. It gives you a BI extension, business site and analytics. It throws out a real-time report. Anytime you from any plant, if you want a dump of where the vehicles are, it can throw out a real-time report and show to you that this is what is the status of today or now.
And since it is open source, I am assuming it will be cost efficient as well.
It is cost efficient, but the development takes a lot of cost where you want to make changes, and the development is what we need to focus on because it's constant evolving process.
What we usually see is SMEs, they take softwares which are pre-designed and they don't invest much in their development because obviously uh, they don't have that kind of infrastructure.
Yeah.
But what we hear from you is totally opposite, that you have invested more in infrastructure, tweaking softwares yourself, developing it yourself. How is it different from what other organizations are doing? And how is it better?
See, I tell you, Ridhima, tomorrow's organizations will be organizations who are looking at these aspects today, because this is the change which is required in these changing and fast-paced times. Today, customer service is the epicenter of what we do. We have an internal value called as customer first, and on time, every time is what we live with. So today, if we were to get onto your internal benchmark being so high, I think these are the areas one should look at. Because after the cost of our product comes the cost of the logistics, which is very critical for the business. And two places you can build efficiencies. One is you build efficiency on your product cost, and second is you build efficiencies on the logistics or the supply chain. So I think that's where we are investing so heavily as an MSME, back to technology, where we want to, one is have a cutting edge vis-a-vis our competition. Two is we need our competition to know we are going to be, moving very, very fast in terms of our growth and getting our things right at the bottom. Yeah. So because typically an MSME loses ground on these aspects where you cannot look at competition. They are evolving. They are looking at very high-end softwares. So we, in our own small way, are looking at being efficient on the supply chain piece. In the long run, that's going to be the only one of the key differentiators or the new modes of today. So the new mode is going to be efficiency management internally. So that's why we think this is a cutting edge.
So what in future I expect is that Walplast will also have their own technology which will be selling like other bigger firms, because they've already built the infrastructure and they're already being a role model for this. And this can continue forward for other organizations as well who do not want to build it on their own, but yes, they have that aspiration. So starting small, they can take inspiration from you and take your technology as well.
Yeah, that's really kind of you to say that, because I tell you what, as a MSME, when we talk to our fraternity partners, as you rightly said, people are not wanting to invest in technology, where we kind of give them input that, boss, like you invest in your product or your R&D, you should keep a small budget for technology, because that is the way forward. We all today are moving in times which are very, very vibrant, very fast-paced, and very, 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 time-driven. You've got to be very efficient on time. And so I think for us, yes, that's the way forward. I think it's kind of you to say that, but we are definitely going to be very aggressive in the technology orientation and the deployment of technology. Currently, this year also, despite these turbulent times, we have still built our team further and still got some more developers on the team to build other few things to be integrated on the other side of the business.
So for a smaller firm, being a smaller firm, you have built this, but larger firms, they want to focus on their core business, and they do not currently invest so much in technology in terms of developing it themselves. And would you recommend them to start developing it themselves, or starting small in technology on their own, or going forward with what works for them, or focusing on just the supply part?
No, so the question is very direct, but at the same time, as I earlier mentioned to you, it's also about the interest, it's about the orientation, it's about your vision of then your SME / MSME, of how fast and how far you want to go. So I would say that there needs to be a technology vision internally for the organization first, no matter who drives it. One is there needs to be a vision. It can be driven externally by a partner also, but he needs to be in sync with the entrepreneur's vision. So if that's my vision, I could get it developed in-house if I have the bandwidth and the time frame, or if I look at alternative, I can look at a partner who can do that for me. But I need to be serious of if we are doing this and there is a small, it's not going to happen overnight. So there needs to be a 3 to 5 year vision, and it takes a lot of time to evolve your front end, your back end, integrate, they talking to each other, you getting reports on time, your ERP talking to the CRM, your CRM talking to your front end AI. So I think it's a gradual process, but one needs to be very serious of how fast and how far they want to go. And I think for entrepreneurs, there will be no second choice but to look at some path where they will need to eventually evolve on the technology front.
So, I, staying in the northern region, experienced that there are a lot of cold storages which are either government managed or semi-government, privately managed, and those people are the ones who face a lot of logistics issues in terms of expiry of product, um, unable to manage their transportation, or the repository is not being tackled well. How do you suggest? I mean, since you have established it everything on your own, you would have a fair idea if a cold storage has to be started and managed well. What are the key points that need to be taken care of?
I honestly would not be able, because these are again real-time products. It is a product which is, it has a very low turnaround time for it to, it's a perishable product. So I think for cold storage, the model needs to be very real-time. I think much more real-time than, so our truck can at least be late a couple of hours on the site. But the cold storage, I think the external environment is so fast, so volatile. Humidity is increasing. You have to have a particular temperature throughout the road. You have to ensure there is no breakdown. If there is a breakdown, what is the BCP side? Is there a backup vehicle which can come on the ground and help to transform? Probably move the goods to another vehicle. So I think cold storage is a completely different model. And honestly, if you ask me, Redimo, I think it's a little more complex than what we are trying to do here. But definitely the supply chain control tower can help them because it tracks the real time. And then there will be their own business interventions which they need to come up with to look at a breakdown situation. So for me, breakdown situation, candid case on the ground. If there is a breakdown, I ensure there is another truck which reaches in a stipulated time frame. We know where the breakdown is. The goods are still there. They are not affected by external environment like the cold storage will be. So for that, the model is a little different. It's again, the entrepreneur needs to think through how he, connects the link on the ground and builds efficiency.
Mm-hmm. So, someone has asked that if your core business is logistics and you are investing a lot on development as well, how are you justifying the return on investment?
My core business is not logistics. My core business is dry mix. We are in the wall putty business, which is our core product, and we are in the dry mix space. And we manufacture textures, adhesives, plasters, and wall putty and plaster being the core of our center of our business. So these are cementitious dry mix product. Logistics is my second biggest cost. Today, all these products are eventually become commodities. It's 20 plus years when the wall putty life cycle has already happened. Every household needs a wall putty, may it be a rural in India or maybe an urban in India, like a city of your and mine. So I think the second biggest cost is where we are trying to get a competitive advantage. It's about cost, ensuring that my customers get the benefit of what efficiencies which we are trying to build. And that's the objective of working hard on this area.
So you have three things which are being well managed by Walplast: the core business of wall putty, the logistics part, and the technology part. So there are three. In future, I can see three different firms for these three things. That is independently inspiring other people.
I hope my founders are listening to this, and we take some inspiration from your thought, and we do that. Yes, so we are entrepreneurs at the core of our heart, but this is what we know and this is what we do. Currently, that's what's.
I mean, it's a big risk-taking thing to invest in technology when obviously everything was available and people are going forward with AI and ML and whatnot. I mean, all the jargons that are being used, but at the core, the technology, it all depends on what the outcome is.
Yeah.
So, can you prize the audience about that instead of getting confused with all these jargons, how can they just focus on what is available and just the immediate technology that will serve them economically?
Yeah, I was also talking to Dr. Amanpreet where she mentioned about AI. So to my mind, as a small player that we are, it's these are far-fetched goals for our country. As an entrepreneur, I can only tell you so much that one needs to focus on data management at the core of what they are doing, and ensure that whatever they do, the front end, the back end matches, ensuring the truck is filled on time, it's delivered on time to your customer, it's mobilized, you track the mobility. It's as simple, and ensuring that the technology is the intervention you take to manage this entire supply chain. These are all very large terms. See, Ridhima, you and me and get a little confused when you look at machine learning. When I have friends who talk about all this, and my counterparts from other enterprises, but they are very evolved organizations. They have already gone through the phase which we are going through as an MSME, and they have a lot of money to spend. So for a player like ours, or my friends on who are listening to me, I would say you start slow, you start small, but you start, because it's important today to take this baby step and invest this small amount in technology. Trust me, this will give you multiplied returns, and this will also create an internal governance. This will create internal discipline. There will be, data today. For an entrepreneur to get data in the evening of what has happened in the day is very important. May it be their business on the product front, or may it be the goods reaching to the customer, because that's also a very integral part of the business. आज मेरा माल नहीं पहुंचेगा तो कल मेरा अगला माल कैसे ऑर्डर करेगा कोई? So as simple as that, I'm trying to use layman terms for the audience to understand that one has to take help. If I understand technology as a whole, but end of the day, I've taken a lot of very, very senior friends of mine from the technology space. I've taken their help and did whatever little we could do, and have come so far.
And once the technology is built, the logistics is in place, your product is in place, there is always a time when people are shifting from SQL to, I would say, Python as a data management system. And that shift is the most difficult for any organization, because the workforce is used to working a certain way. They have been trained to do that. And during that shift, there is a lot of confusion. People feel dissatisfied with the work and the output. How is workforce aligned to the advancements in technology in your organization?
Very, very valid question, I must say, for our size of organization. Any change, to my mind, it will come in a small way. It wouldn't happen overnight. We need to be committed that the vision of the entrepreneur, the vision of the leader, the vision of the person who's driving the technology change needs to keep communicating. It's not my individual vision. I cannot achieve this alone. I have to take into consideration the people on the ground. I know that there are challenges of the gatekeeper who is letting my truck go. He needs to check. He needs to also enter some data before the truck reaches outside, so that there is a real-time trigger happening. So I think somewhere you need to take into consideration people on the ground who are managing your plants or backend or packaging units or even whichever other line of business. They also are appropriately trained. They are upskilled. And there is a small change which needs to keep happening. At the same time, they need to know why we are doing this. See, the why is very important. To ensure that their lives are simple, the company's life is simple, we track the vehicle. तो आपको उसको समझाना है, भाई आप क्यों कर रहे हो? आप डिप्लॉय करोगे और बोलोगे ये करना ही है, तो वो शायद मिस हो सकता है. But today, when you take your people along, in the front, in the corporate office, आपको ground का situation पता है. People who are there listening to me know what happens on the manufacturing side. The competency is very limited when you find competent people who are system driven or very limited. So उसको आपको कैसे upskill करना है? It's a gradual process. It cannot happen overnight. आप कोई भी change ला रहे हो, like you mentioned, SQL to Python is a definite change in the backend. वो आप backend में वो change लाने के लिए आप बोलो क्यों कर रहे हो? And why he needs to learn it? How will it help him in his career? उसको बोलो ये new age है sir, ये आपको help करेगा. So I think you take your people along. at whatever level you need to take your people along and ensure that they are a part of the gradual change and towards the better. आप उनको बोलोगे ये आपकी लाइफ भी सुधारने वाला है, आपको कल you probably might get a better assignment if you know this technology, and if he listens to that, he is going to be more committed to you. He said, okay, this is going to do better in my life and I'm going to learn this. He will put effort, he will think, he will read books, he will go online. Aaj mobile phone is given access to the smallest person across the country, and Geo, the kind of data access it gives you, everybody will read, study, and be the part of your change. The vision needs to be very clear.
So, I mean, wonderfully put. I think I know more about logistics now and understand a bit what I have been able to gain from your experience. Now, is it okay if I open the house for questions now? Because
Please.
from my side, I think I have tried to.
Very interesting discussion, Ridhima.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking me very relevant on ground challenges / questions which are very, very practical for any SME / MSME who's a part of this transformation. I call it a transformation. And
Yes,
it's
I mean, day in, day out, we face this with our membership that they are asking us questions that people are moving very fast and technology is moving very fast. How do we keep pace with it? And especially the workforce, like you explained that you have to guide the person, you have to mentor the person that this is going to help you in your own career as well. But yes, having said that, the workforce also has to be that adaptive, that they understand that it is for their own growth as well and not just a company's random decision.
yes.
No doubt changes are difficult, but then we all have to adapt to it.
Yes.
Like we are adapting with the new COVID strain
Situation.
in India.
Okay, it's terrible, but we are living with it. See, you and me are
Living with
talking.
it,
Yeah.
becoming used to the new normal. So I would like to open the house for questions. If there are any questions you'd like to ask, sir, you're most welcome. Please write it in your chat box, or if you want to, you can raise your hand. I'll make you a panelist, and then you can ask one-on-one. Let's give them a minute or two.
Sure, please. I think Mr. Vikrant had a question, or Mr. Ratnakar had a question.
I don't see questions in either the chat box or the Q&A new questions. So what we can do is, whatever questions the participants have, we can take them on an email, or they can write to me. I can connect to you,
Most certainly.
and because that will save us time as well. And I think they'll have to go back to all the content they have consumed today to actually raise questions and go back to their fields and understand how they're doing things differently or what can be done better. So I would like to call it off for the day because another speaker, he's not feeling well, is down with fever. So I'm so sorry. From 6 speakers, thank God we had 6 speakers, that we could conduct it efficiently with 3 speakers at least for today. I mean, I didn't expect this, but yes, the situation is a bit is grave, and people are falling sick very frequently. So, nevertheless, I would like to thank you, Milan sir, for sharing such valuable insights, for explaining us everything in detail. I'm really overwhelmed by understanding and having a very informative discussion with you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you all the participants.
Thank you, Ridhima. Thank you, the participants. I just want to say lastly, please take care of yourself. Still are difficult times. I wish and pray that you and your families are safe and we take the precautionary measures yet. It's not over yet, but this too shall pass. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for
Thank you so much.
inviting me. Goodbye.